All right, guys. Today we're gonna be reacting to the real reason Germany's train system gets so much hate. Oh man, I just got this recommendation on the Discord. This is from James Bray. Make sure you like to subscribe in his channel. We're gonna react to his video regarding why Germany's train gets a lot of hate. I'm telling you right now, I don't think it's worth the New York MTA. I'm telling you right now, our public system, transportation sucks. So maybe our standards as American are too low that we can't even figure out what the hell we are doing, right? Make sure you like to subscribe. Well, let's just jump in and see what's going on.
You're in Köln, Germany, and you're at the Hauptbahnhof, and your train arrives at 8 a.m. Now you're trying to catch a flight at 2 p.m., so you're giving yourself a buffer to get your things in order, whatever. The train ride to Frankfurt takes about an hour and a half, depending. But the key here is that you're trying to catch a train. Everything's fine. Time is passing by. It's 7:58. The train still hasn't arrived, and you get a notification on your phone saying that your train has now been delayed to 1300 or 1 p.m. Literally an hour
An hour?
before your flight takes off. That's not even enough time. You wouldn't make your flight. Congratulations. Deutsche Bahn does it again. I have so many experiences that were absolutely infuriating that ruined a lot of potentially good experience.
Really? Is that bad, man? I don't believe it. I'm gonna keep it honest with y'all. I don't believe it. Really? Is that bad?
Experiences in Germany because of the Deutsche Bahn, and I know I'm not alone. In fact, I asked you guys what y'all thought about the Deutsche Bahn, the pros and the cons, and that is what this video is going to be detailing, because for as many cons as we can throw at the Deutsche Bahn actually has a lot of positive attributes.
Are you serious?
That we will be going through in this video. This is a rant video with a lot of points that I've thoroughly researched about why the Deutsche Bahn is so loved and so hated at the same time, explained right here on this channel. But make sure you guys subscribe, definitely like the video, and feel free to leave your opinions in the comments down below, because I read them all the time. I know a lot of you guys are like, how in the world is there anything positive to say about the Deutsche Bahn? So I figured we would start with that first. There's a lot of positive attributes when it comes to the Deutsche Bahn. I have them written on my phone because I can't remember them off the top of my head. The first thing, generally speaking, when it comes to the Deutsche Bahn, and as it compares to a lot of the places that I've been to, for those that don't know, I grew up in Chicago and I took the public transportation system there all the time, and it was exceptionally dirty, grimy, filthy, all of the above. When I got to Germany and took their trains, I was like, whoa, these are very nice trains, very pristine, a lot of space. The seating arrangements were quite nice, very similar to how they have them in America. I liked it quite a bit, and it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Now, I think it's a huge thing because when people get on trains, I will give you an example. When I was in Chicago, there was one time I sat down and I thought to myself, man, these seats are incredibly dirty. Like, there were stains all over the seat, gunk, which was crazy to me, or any of the public transportation. This applies to buses too. So for the Deutsche Bahn, it wasn't like that at all. I got on the trains, I got on buses, and everything was pretty much immaculate. Yeah, you would have a couple buses, couple trains that were a little dirty, but it wasn't anything extreme. Yeah, of course, like any train, well, you'll see people who've tagged their names and on the walls. It depends on where you're at. Like if you're in Berlin, you might see that. However, I will say, generally speaking, cleanliness, comfiness. Oh my gosh. Listen, sitting on a train in Chicago is like sitting on a brick. Okay, can you write a brick?
He's comparing it with Chicago. Well, Chicago's cleaner than New York City. Just imagine, bro.
For an hour to your destination? Didn't think so. A lot of the buses and trains in Germany, they know what they're doing. The seats are real cozy. Another point I'd like to highlight is the fact that you can get literally anywhere in Germany with the Deutsche Bahn. Anywhere in Germany. That's actually what drew me to Germany in the first place as far as maneuvering goes, because I'm like, dang, I'm gonna have to get a car. I'm gonna have to constantly get people to drive me around. But no, you can take the Deutsche Bahn and get virtually anywhere in the country, and I think that's absolutely remarkable
That's
because
amazing.
very few places in the world have elaborate train systems like the Deutsche Bahn. There are
That's
several
amazing.
places in the world, many places have transit systems, but they're not as extensive as the Deutsche Bahn is. So I will give it that. It is very, very effective. Also, there was the 9 euro ticket that happened shortly after the pandemic, and that was absolutely remarkable. And it was basically a period of time where people were allowed to, just for 9 euros, travel anywhere in Germany for just the price of 9 euros for, like, I think a month. It was a test that the government officials kind of put in place, and I thought that that was insane. So look, it says right here, the 9 euro ticket was a German scheme through which passengers could travel for 9 euros per month on local and regional transport in all of Germany. Which brings me to my next huge point, and I think this is also a huge flex because yes, there is no longer the 9 euro ticket. That was a temporary experiment for something that they currently have in place, which is the 49 euro ticket, and I think it's just as effective. It's obviously pricier, but you get the same perks as the 9 euro ticket, and I do feel like that is probably one of the most effective things ever. You just pay 49 euro and you get to ride all of the trains and buses as much as you want while you're in Germany for that month.
I like that. I like that. And you're getting clean seats, clean train. You know, I like that. I like that.
Like I said, a huge price jump, but still very, very, very much worth it. In fact, every single time I've been to Germany, I've actually used that ticket myself. Don't ask me how, but I have been using the 49 euro ticket every single time, and it's absolutely effective. So when they do come by to scan my little ticket, I'm like, boom, on my phone. I got my QR code right here. I got my stuff together, okay? The German Chancellor, Mr. Olaf Scholz, and the state heads of government have agreed to introduce the monthly 49 euro ticket for
that's 49 euros, man. That's cheap, bro. That's cheap. My God. That is so cheap. Wow, bro.
Regional public transport across Germany as a successor to the widely popular 9 euro ticket introduced between June and August of 2022. Not that long ago, actually. The Deutschland ticket will be a digital ticket that will be purchased as a monthly subscription that can be canceled at any time and is expected to be introduced from January 1st. Long story short, it is a very effective ticket. I've personally used it myself, so I'm not talking out of my ass here when I say that is one of the most effective systems I have ever seen implemented.
Wow,
the last thing has to do with the level of noise in the Deutsche Bahn. Now, if you're talking about the Hauptbahnhof, stuff like that, that's different. But on the actual trains and buses, people are relatively quiet, which I thought was insane because coming from a major city, everybody is talking, bro.
Are you German?
People are loud, obnoxious. You're overhearing crazy, juicy, drama-filled conversations on the train that you really don't want to subjugate yourself to, but you kind of have to because it's just there and you're listening by proxy because they're in close distance to you. Crazy stuff. But in Germany, some of the quietest trains I've ever been on. People have situational awareness.
Dude, normally it's loud and you can hear shit and there's echoes, but it's so quiet, bro. What the? I'm scared.
For the most part, depends on where you are. Yet again, when I was in Hamburg, this happened.
Bro, what the fuck is happening right now?
He's like, bro, no, bro, no.
And that is on the Deutsche Bahn. I think though it's a little different. Now I will say this: the final thing that I can say that is very positive about the Deutsche Bahn is the fact that everybody hates the Deutsche Bahn. All right, that is the most positive compliment I can give the Deutsche Bahn because it doesn't matter if you're black, white, any color in between that. It doesn't matter what your preference is, what you identify as, what country, religious background, political view you have. Everybody joins forces when they express their disdain for the Deutsche Bahn, bro. I got homies that work at the Deutsche Bahn that don't like the Deutsche Bahn.
Wow, man.
But you know,
wow, that's crazy, man. But why the Deutsche Bank so bad?
what I mean? We all collectively could come together and dissect bit by bit why we don't like it. Now, like I said, there are some positive attributes, and the one I just listed right now is the final attribute. Because I will say the first step to world peace is getting everybody in the world to visit Germany at least once and use the Deutsche Bahn, right? I feel like that will already eliminate 99.9% of our problems because everybody will be so frustrated and through with the timeliness and the inconvenience and all the other things I'm about to list as far as why people hate the Deutsche Bahn. We will all form a trauma bond together and we can get along.
It's really that bad, my God. I mean, it cannot be that bad.
Okay, moving on to my first point as it pertains to why people do not like the Deutsche Bahn. Timeliness, and I can speak from experience. I went to Germany 3 times. Gotta go off of my own personal experience. So when I first got to Germany, I got to Köln. As you can see behind me, it was fun. It was fun. I had a great time. The people were amazing. The people were sweet. The area was phenomenal. The train system was trash. First thing I encountered was the fact that I had a scheduled train that was supposed to arrive 15 minutes after I got to the Hauptbahnhof. My train was 20 minutes late, and then it was 10 minutes later than the 20 minutes, and then I had to wait an additional 30 minutes. I had to keep waiting. Eventually, my original time that I was supposed to arrive in Köln, because I was actually in Frankfurt, my original time was supposed to be like 2 p.m. or something. I didn't get to Köln until like 5 or 6 p.m.
Man, that's insane, bro. Wow, that's insane, man. That's insane. Wow, that's insane, man. That's insane. That's insane, man. I guess New York City MTA is not that bad, I guess. Wow.
And I was like, oh. Needless to say, I was like, how? And I thought this was a one-off thing until I used the train again. I had to meet up with different friends, some creators to do collaborations. And I'm telling you right now, if you are trying to get anywhere on time in Germany, the Deutsche Bahn is definitely not your best bet. At first, when I first went there, I'm like, okay, cool. Obviously, if I'm going to schedule an appointment or if I have somewhere to be, if I want to get there on time, I'm gonna have to find a train that arrives at least an hour earlier than my appointment.
Yep.
That is a dangerous game because these delays have been getting crazier and crazier and crazier.
I was literally thinking about that. If you need to use the Deutsche Bahn, you have to take the Deutsche Bahn like probably at 3 or 4 hours before even you get to your destination because
long. They'll push your train like they did with mine a few hours. It won't be a few minutes. It'll be a few hours. So you'll not only be like early to waiting, but you will be waiting so long that I am going to Kermitsu that you will literally be late, and you'll see it happen in 4K HD. It's the saddest thing because you can see the hope drain out of so many people's eyes when you're waiting at a Hauptbahnhof or any Bahnhof. And at some point, the trains weren't like that, right? Which goes into my next point: reliability. Right now, timeliness falls under reliability, but you're probably like, James, what do you mean reliability? Timeliness, you don't have to tap on that twice. I don't, but this is very important because it's a crazy lesson I learned, right? I wanted to be in a train car where I didn't have to worry about my bags getting snatched up. I heard stories about some situations where people mistook people's bags for whatever, or they left their stuff, and you know, people going through the train rummaged through some bags, whatever, depending on what type of train you're taking. So obviously for the longer train, since it's an hour long, ICE, basically I booked a ticket to the Deutsche Bahn app for a first class cabin, and that's fine. For me, I was like, cool, I want to make sure my bags are good. I want to get a little something to eat, blah, blah, blah. Have a cozy little experience. So yeah, the ticket was a little pricey, whatever. The cabin was quiet, my God. I have never been in the quieter cabin ever, if I was ever in that cabin. Now, I was in the cabin way later, but for that, I wasn't. Not only did the train that I was supposed to take get delayed, it actually got canceled, bro. So when the trains get canceled, allegedly, this is how it's been
wow, man. Listen. My question is, Germans are very well known for being very punctual or right on time, or even minutes before being on time. And how in the hell you guys have a system like this? I would just dismantle the whole thing and just build a new one. If I was German, I would try to do my best to just build the whole thing back over, because at this rate it's getting worse.
explained to me, you're able to take any train in place of the train you paid for, right? If you paid to get on like a specific car for those long distance trains, then you can get on the next upcoming train, which is, you know, cool. Where the unreliability factor comes in is, let's say you did what I did and you booked a first class cabin at said train, or a second class cabin, or whatever cabin. They assign you a seat is what I'm saying. They assign you a seat. The ticket will show you what seat you're sitting in and what type of train you'll be in, right? Because there's different train lengths and all that other good stuff. Well, I looked at the length of the train for my train ride, and I'm like, okay, cool. There's a lot of different cabins and stuff, a lot of different train cars, and mine are more towards the front, which is fine. That's awesome. Unfortunately, that was not the case. A different train popped up, and I still had to sit in my said seat because the train number got mixed up with the train or something. This happens quite a bit where the actual train that you're supposed to be taking, the information isn't.
Man, this sounds like a mess. This sounds like a mess. My God. Ah, man, I cannot. Ooh, that's a hard one, folks. That's a hard one. When it comes down to transportation, I'm very keen when it comes down to being on time. I like to be on time. I don't know how I'm gonna do this because I'm planning in the future to go to Germany. But this is good information just to be ahead of the game.
Right.
That's
when
all
it
I'm gonna
comes
say.
to the type of train you're supposed to be taking. So if you're supposed to be sitting in like the third car originally, you might actually be sitting in like the fourth or fifth car in the back or something. It's real weird. It's very confusing, very frustrating, because now you got everybody and their mama fighting over whose seat is what seat when you get on the train, because some trains are packed to the brim of people who gotta be places, and then some train rides it's like, okay, cool. But I will say the buses, I've had far better experiences than the trains, bro. The trains are crazy, dog. The trains are crazy. So it's just super frustrating waiting for copious amounts of time for the wrong type of train to pop up, for you to be you have to go to some like mystical cart that has your seat number in it because the wrong train popped up. And people have been very frustrated with it. Now, before I go too much farther in my rant, I want to show you guys what you guys have been saying in the comments as it pertains to pros and cons when it comes to the Deutsche Bahn. The top comment says, pro, it has potential. Con, it lacks proper funding, maintenance, and management. So this is actually an excerpt from Railway Technology. This was from an article posted in March 22nd of this year. And actually, I wound up typing in the Google search bar how the Deutsche Bahn lost its funding, or why it doesn't have the funding it needs. And it says that the Deutsche Bahn said its net debt increased due to capital expenditures, and said that its net loss for 2023 was 2.4 billion euros, not dollars, euros, compared to its net loss of 227 million in 2022, which is significantly higher than 2022. 2.5 billion in 2023 compared to 227 million in 2022. Something diabolical happened.
Yeah, something bad happened there. Something happened that it was so bad that they said, you know what, we are going to simply take the L. Just let it be. Just let it be.
Obviously. So the Deutsche Bahn blamed massive hikes in interest rates, which was magnified by increased borrowing to pay for its increased spending on infrastructure. And as a result, I think that's what prompted all of these strikes that we've seen relentlessly throughout last year, and the trains being completely broken and stuff like that, not arriving on time. One thing affects another, essentially, and it hasn't really added to the success of the Deutsche Bahn, and people have been making backup plans on backup plans on backup plans. The next,
I'm telling you, bro, when you have a system like that, just simply dismantle it and build it back, man. Because, man, or just do something, just change something. Bro, sometimes the train comes only 2 hours late. Hey, man, you seen the positive of that, bro? Bro, the mobile, I cannot read that. What's it? Pros have potential. There are pros. Love it, man.
comments like there are pros? Pro, sometimes the train comes only 2 hours late
This
instead
guy's
of
a
5.
troll.
You see, that actually is a pro. Sometimes your train gets super delayed and you're like, oh my God, your heart drops to your toes and you're like, what do I do? I wasn't expecting this. So now you're planning around a delayed train, and then all of a sudden, because you choose not to get a different ticket or whatever have you in the situation, maybe you spent your last little bit of money on this particular ticket, so you kind of have to roll with the punches here. All of a sudden, that delay that you were projecting isn't as late as it was anticipated to be. So if your train originally was supposed to arrive at 1 p.m. at the train station that you are at, but it gets delayed by 3 hours and is now arriving at 4 p.m., but instead of 4 p.m. now, it arrives at 2 p.m., so it turned out to only be an hour late versus 3 hours late, then yeah, that's actually a positive thing. But has that happened? Well, I mean, the real question is, have you won the lottery? Has anyone ever won the lottery? Yeah, of course. So, yeah, it's happened. But that happening is literally like hitting the lottery. Don't expect anything like that, especially when it comes to the Deutsche Bahn. Do not expect anything like that. Pros, this message is delayed by 15 minutes. Cons, this message is completely missing. Thank you for your understanding.
Wow.
Pro, the network coverage is great and serves a lot more places than trains in many other countries do. Con, the service reliability has deteriorated over the last few decades, and it's gonna be a mammoth task to implement all the necessary upgrades, i.e. track tripling, quadrupling, platform lengthening, level crossing removal.
Bro, what the hell is he's reading here?
Signaling system replacement, etc. Now, this I do agree with, which kind of goes hand in hand with another thing, which is taking trains and buses without having to pay before you get on. You can pay when you get on the actual train. You don't have to go through a terminal and stuff and pay an individual before you get on the train. You typically pay when you get on, or you prepay and then hop on, depends if it's a train or a bus. But I thought that was actually very cool because it's like an honor system for the most part. If you're on a train though, there will be people coming by, ticket personnel that will be checking for tickets, and if you do not have a ticket and you're on that train, you will be getting a 60 € fine, my guy, a 60 euro fine. But it makes sense. So I used to use Deutsche Bahn to Frankfurt Airport when traveling to the US, Canada, or Australia. Not feasible anymore as the risk.
I used to use the Deutsche Bahn to Frankfurt Airport when traveling to the United States, Canada, Australia. Not feasible anymore as the risk not to make it on time and missing flight is by far too high, and the stress level is extreme. Arriving at the main station and first thing in the morning, you are greeted with the Zug vor Oss. It's not what you need to start your journey. Damn, man.
To not make it on time and missing the flight is by far too high, and the stress level is extreme. Arriving at the main station and first thing in the morning you are greeted with is Zugfeld aus is not what you need to start your journey. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. The reliability is absolutely atrocious. It's absolutely atrocious. And I really hope that we can all come together and find a way to make this better. Moving on to another thing that I realized that, makes the Deutsche Bahn absolutely garbo is them strikes, guys. I've never seen people strike so much in my whole life.
They strike that much because the MTA, they do strike. They will stop services and stuff like that. It will get crazy.
Obviously, there's a lot of people not getting paid properly because people are striking like it's an Olympic sport.
That's what the unions do, man. That's what the unions do, man. If you're okay with unions, you have to be okay with this. Hey, if you're okay with union workers, this is what you get.
Got a lot of things going against it, and one of them is strike. Because of the strikes, it also leads into the other things that I mentioned earlier. Timeliness, trains getting on time, which they hardly ever do anyway. And then trains not even showing up. Whole stations being shut down. Whole routes being shut down because of strikes going on. Do things ever get better? I think not, because the outcome of all of these strikes is more angry people and more strikes, bro. Because of that, I've learned to plan around those circumstances. If I do know that I'm gonna have to take a train and there's a strike going on, I'm gonna make sure that I know like at least 3 or 4 alternate routes I can take where I have a shot at being at my destination on time. Justifiably hated, but also over hated at the same time. The far distance branch Deutsche Bahn Fernverkehr, the most unreliable part of the system due to many factors. The regional and local branches, however, are mostly punctual as they mostly don't travel too far, and the delays are most of the time caused by a delayed far distance train. Also depends on what company is responsible for the train. Pros: the ice toilets are quite decent, and that is also true. Them toilets in there, bro, state of the art, okay? They're very nice. I mean, it is, at the end of the day, a public bathroom, but they keep their bathrooms pretty clean, bro. At least from what I've seen, the bathrooms are immaculate. One of the last things I'll cover is something very interesting that I discovered specifically when I was in Berlin. Now, there's a lot of people that will ride these trains using the honor system, taking their train from point A to point B, and they don't pay to be on the bus or the train. That's a very popular practice. So you got these undercover people that are on the train, and basically what they do is they check your ticket, because a lot of people are, you know, on the train hiding from paying their tickets and stuff. And these people are dressed like you and me. They're regular ass people, and then all of a sudden they pull up this device. They're like, "Can I see your ticket, please?" And you're like, "Huh?" And they scan that shit, and then cool. If you have your ticket, awesome. If not, you gotta pay 60 euros, bro. And they know how to get people out there. I saw like 4 or 5 people get packed up because they did not have their train ticket on them. I work for the Deutsche Bahn, and I have to say that there are not many pros. The only thing I see now is that with the 49 euro ticket, you can travel with a little money through Germany and to work, and it's better for nature than driving with a car. Every second train is always late, and sometimes you need more than 2 to 3 hours for a 1-hour drive just so you don't get to your destination. Also, the internet connection is so bad in the distance train, but the Deutsche Bahn gives its best. So I do ask you guys, what are some appropriate solutions for a lot of the issues the Deutsche Bahn is experiencing? There's a lot of money that is not going into the Deutsche Bahn. A lot of it's still under construction. It seems like because they don't have enough money, it's prompting people to strike more, which makes the masses.
I don't think money's a problem, man. I don't think money's the problem. It's the system that is in place. I don't think money's the problem, because if there's a problem, putting more money into the problem doesn't fix the problem. It just amplifies the problem. That's what it is, man. I really don't know, man. I did not expect that from Germany. I did not expect that from Germany. Having problems with time in a train. That is a new one. That is a new one, actually. Let me know what you guys think about this video, because this is way out of the scheme of my thoughts regarding Germany when it comes down to time. I think the whole system, when it comes down to these systems, just give it to somebody else. I don't know. They can just fix it and just let it go. These are one of the things that you might have to privatize and just pay it publicly. You see what I'm saying? Like it's a private company holding that train, but it's publicly chaired. So you still pay the same, but the private company take care of it, because it seems like at this stage, man, it's getting worse. I don't think it's gonna get better. Let me know what you guys see in the comment section below. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next one.